Shall I begin, sir?
Yes, Dr. Chandra.
Wonderful evening to everyone present. And on behalf of the core team, Mental Health Webinar Series, and the organizer, the Department of Psychology, the American College Madurai, and the associating partners of this series, Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, MS Chellamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, Madurai, Red Pond Educational and Psychological Research Center, Madurai, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, Madurai, and Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey. We happily welcome you all to today's session 377 on classroom management tenets for stirring psychological well-being and human values. And today we have our resource person, Dr. Nimmi Maria Oman, and she is currently an assistant professor of education in Titus II Teachers College, Kerala. And now I request Dr. Suresh Kumar sir to introduce the speaker to the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chandra. Good evening to all. I'm really happy to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Nimmi Maria Oman, ma'am. I know personally, ma'am, having the one important quality, that is an blessing and that expressing gratitude. I think that is the highest, noblest trait I can see from ma'am. And one more thing, there are many teachers. I'm the teacher in different levels. I know the difficulty of managing the students, especially classroom management, when we have to take care of the character as well as that psychological component and emotional components. It is very difficult for the many even trained, experienced teachers. And today we are going to get some experts' opinion on that. For that, with us, Dr. Nimmi Maria Oman, ma'am, and she's one of the founding member of SEAM, that is an Association for Higher Education, and she is a professor of Titus II College Teacher Education at Tiruvalla, Kerala. And for her credit, I have gone through the profile. There are many publications. I don't want to mention all the name. It takes another 5 minutes. So there are many publications for her credit, and she was invited as a speaker for many of the webinars, seminars, and conferences. I'm happy to introduce the speaker for today. Ma'am, we are really happy to have you here for our webinar session. OT, ma'am. We are eagerly waiting to listen from you.
Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Respected Dr. Suresh Kumar Murugesan, the entire team from the psychology department, and dear participants, a very pleasant good evening to one and all. At the outset, let me extend gratitude and acknowledge the great words spoken of mine. I thank God for having such wonderful friends. Why? Because when we get good friends, that helps us to improve our psychological well-being. And in fact, Dr. Suresh Kumar is a man of good humane values. And it is my honor and privilege to engage a session with the American College. And I know almost all participants may be tired after a day's work. And at this time, I'm going to speak about the well-being or the class management, human values. So what I'll do is, my presentation will not be for 1 hour, maybe for 40 minutes. Then if you have any questions or if you want to raise something in between, you are free to do so. So with these words, let me start my presentation. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Audible.
Okay, I'm about to share my PowerPoint. Please check whether it is coming. Yeah? PowerPoint is visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you find any difficulty in between, so the title of my presentation is Classroom Management Tenets for Stirring Psychological Well-being and Human Values. What I am going to focus through this presentation, as Dr. Suresh Kumar has mentioned, we all are teachers, but how to manage our classroom? That is a big question before us. We all are well versed with the professional side of teaching. That means the academic or the content side of teaching. We learn a lot. We have acquired some professional degrees by the grace of God. But what matters here is whether we are able to reach our students with the human values that we possess. Are we able to develop human values and mental health or psychological well-being in our students? So that will be my focus here. Before I move to that psychological well-being or human values, let us first learn about the classroom management. See, many of us are into this profession for a quite number of years, and you may be surprised, or I may be surprised, what is there to learn more about this classroom management. But to be very open, as we learn the techniques of classroom management, it really, create greater inputs in our teaching. That means that reach the students with their learning part and with their evaluation side also. So classroom management, to define, it is a wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep their students organized, orderly, focused, attentive, on task, and academically productive during a class. Terms in the class management, that is, you want to keep the students organized, then keep them in order, disciplined, attentive, then more important is academically productive. So what all things come under the big umbrella term of classroom management? It is not just teaching. Without students, there is no teacher. If there is no student in the classroom, there is no teaching. So teaching, learning, evaluation, all these come under the big umbrella term classroom management. Now, moving on to the second part, the psychological or the mental well-being. We are very familiar with that terminology because it describes our mental state, how we are feeling every day, month, and year. What are the feelings that govern our mind? Right now, we may have a feeling. What is that feeling? Are we happy or are we tensed? Are we stressful? Likewise, we have got different feelings in our mind that in fact govern our life also. We cannot see that every time our mind will be in a stable condition. We will have different emotions in different frequency level. But more or less, we have to balance the emotions. Then only we can say we have got mental well-being. Now, coming to classroom management, I have categorized the teachers as into two categories: effective teachers and less effective teachers. I don't call a teacher as a poor teacher because all of us are born with a number of talents. And the purpose of education is to bloom these talents. So as teachers, if I am an effective teacher or if you are an effective teacher, that means you have bloomed your talents to a certain extent. But if I feel I'm a less effective teacher, that means my some talents are yet to be bloomed. So that is only the major difference. So we should have first the mind that I am a teacher, I have got talents, capacities, and capabilities, and my role is first to enhance my capacity. So coming to the first category of teachers, that if I'm an effective teacher or if you're an effective, you ought to display strong classroom management skills. We will learn what all are that strong management skills. While the hallmark of an inexperienced or a less effective teacher is a disorderly classroom filled with students where they never pay attention or less attention. That we all have experienced several occasions also. Now, coming to, there are a lot number of definitions with respect to classroom management. I have just put some in the slide. all of the things that a teacher does to organize students' space, time, and materials so that student learning take place, given by Wong and Wong. So what all things we do as soon as we step into a classroom where there are students, that comes under the big term classroom management. And in that, we have a set of techniques, skills that allow a teacher to control students effectively. And how to control, all those are, we have question marks, how to control our students in order to create a positive learning environment for all students. Sternberg and Williams have coined that definition. All of us love to have positive environment in life, but at times we face with negative environment. That is a part of life, because as we all know, life has got ups and downs. We have positives and negatives. So in classroom also, sometimes there will be negative environment that is being felt in the classroom. But as teacher, what is our prime duty is to create a positive learning environment. Now, what are the main goals of classroom management? First is, I told you earlier that as teacher, I have done a lot of preparation, or as teacher, you have done a lot of preparation. The content wise, you have done a lot. But does it reach the students rightly in the right sense? Coming to foster student engagement and cooperation for all classroom activities. Do your students or my students show a negative mood in their classroom? Number one. Second one, establish a productive work environment that increases student achievement. How can we create a productive environment? That is something that is related to our human values, not just with the content that we are teaching. Now, classroom management creates a set of expectations used in an organized classroom environment. It includes what all routines we perform, what all rules we ask the students to obey, and the consequences. So all this directly or indirectly affect the student learning. What are the principles for enriching the psychological well-being and human values? We are coming directly to the classroom management. I said, as a teacher, I have learned my content side. That is very clear. I'm very confident with my content, as normally a good teacher or an effective teacher tend to do. All of us know that. But does that learning of the content result in effective teaching? That is the question. We may be allotted 1 hour or 50 minutes or 2 hours for teaching. Before we make an entry into our class, let me share with you all with some tips that what I'm doing to create positive environment. See, all of us are human beings with a lot of tensions and stress. We may be coming from homes with different levels of stress. Sometimes we may be happy. Some days we will be very happy, but some days we will be tensed or having some worries. Maybe not from our institution, but from elsewhere or from our family. But before we proceed to our classroom, make sure that all our worries are locked in our mind, and never let that worries have expression on our face. Having a pleasant face, the number one tip for effective teaching. I'm just recollecting a video which I have seen I think some 6 months back. A group of small kids are sitting in a class, and their teacher is a lady teacher is entering the class. What is shown through this video is, as the teacher or their ma'am is entering, what they see is a tiger entering the classroom. So are we creating such kind of notions in our students? So the first step is lock your worries, make the face pleasant. It doesn't mean that you have to be very pleasant outside, whatever in your inside, but outside you have to be pleasant. That is number one. Second thing, greet your students. That is number two. We all are doing it, but it is just a rewind of what we are doing. Number two, then have a quick look to all the students in the classroom. Our eye or your eye should reach every corner of the class. That means it shows that every child is valued in my classroom. Then you give a briefing about what you are going to teach today. What is the relevance of that topic? How it is significant in academics? How it is significant in life? That is life-oriented teaching. Then you are actually teaching this topic. Here we have to learn some specific tips. In the training system of education in India, we all follow one major mechanism, the lecture model. Excuse me, like the what which I'm doing right now. But that should not be fully done in a 1-hour class. Are we giving space for our kids to respond? We use two terms in our classroom. Look here, don't talk. Of course, it is a must because the classroom should not get disturbed. But that gives an impression for the child that I can't even, whisper something to my neighbor. So, even without these words, we can catch the attention of our students through our pleasant face, through the delivery of the topic. Then, don't teach the whole 50 minutes continuously. If it is a 50-minute class, if possible, wind it up by 45 or 46 minutes. Give some breathing time. Let the students have reflection of what they have learned or just have a revision of what we have taught them. Then the consistency in teaching with respect to voice modulation, with respect to explanation, all that we should have some kind of consistency. When we are teaching in this way, where you give chance for your students to respond also, there will be only fewer behavior problems. I won't claim that there won't be behavior problems. Behavior is there as long as our students are human beings. We are facing human cameras in classroom. We are not writing on some files where the files doesn't have life to speak to us, but we are teaching human beings made of flesh and blood. So they will respond, but the behavior problems should not go to a large, but there will be problems that we have to understand it. But after our class, we should have a reflection. That is, after moving out of the classroom, what I'm doing is I just, have a re-reflection of what I taught. Did I use any words that hurt my child? That is the first thing what I recollect. Then what are my explanation with respect to the topic? What made my students get distracted during my teaching? All this I have to have an introspection. If I do it every day, when I go to the next class, I can make corrections. This is how we can enrich the psychological well-being, because that stressful mind or that stress level we can naturally and normally we can reduce. With respect to teaching, suppose if we are getting angry and harsh to our students, that affects badly our teaching, and we also will lose our mood in teaching. Am I audible? Is it clear, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Now, the ways for effective classroom management. Some tips I would like to share with you all, which I have learned from the Western classrooms. See, unlike the Eastern classrooms, or we can say the Indian system, ours is a spoon-fed system, even in the higher education. To be very open, because we teachers, we have a lot of love for our students. Even if they are a student of higher education, we treat them like a kid, pampering, giving all the materials, teaching them, giving the notes. Okay, that is good. I'm not against it. But are we giving space for them to develop their creativity? Are we treating them as full individuals? That is another question. So, How can we make the classroom management effective? The first thing is entry routine. Here, entry routine is the technique or the steps that should be followed by each and every student once they are into the classroom. How about the sitting arrangement? How about keeping their books or their files, whatever, or laptop or smartphone, whatever, in order and getting themselves ready for learning? This is a must for a teacher, how we are entering the class. I said earlier we have to enter the class with a plan. So the student will be first watching our face, our move, our looks. Then how we dress, our physical appearance also matters a lot. We have to be neatly dressed, see how our hair is, how our face is, how our dress is properly, if it is a sari, if it is properly draped, if it is shirt, if it is properly buttoned, all those things we know. But we are again, learning all those things. Then you make the entry to the class, occupy a central position where your eyes reach the entire classroom. So that comfort zone that we have to fix. But at times we will have to move here and there also, but not a lot of movements in the class. That is the entry routine side. Now the teacher is ready, the students are ready, all are ready for learning. The first step of classroom management. Second one is do now. What all things we as teachers want the students to do. Suppose we want them to listen. We will be introducing the topic and we will be giving the significance of the topic right in the beginning. Then automatically, naturally, the students will listen. That is second stage. This may happen when it is in the middle phase of our teaching. That is, after some teaching, we want to give some assignment, small assignment or group work or peer interaction or partner learning. That is, students who are sitting in one row, they can learn. That is partner learning or peer learning or small group learning. That is what is come under the preview of tight transitions. You are asking them immediately to make a shift. That is, you take the book and read this part or discuss this in your group. The next one is seed signals. That is something that comes from the student side. Suppose, normally, if the students are having some physical illness, that will be reflected in their face. Suppose if they have got a headache, they may be sitting like this, which I have seen many times in my class. What I do is I just ask that students, okay, you are not feeling okay, you may go to the backside, just lie down and relax. Because if we are forcing that students to sit there, he or she won't listen and we are in fact distracting them. We should understand, their mental state. What had happened if they want to go to a washroom, if it is an emergency, if they want to have some water in between or some biscuits, some snacks. There is nothing wrong if they have it in between, but it should not distract the whole class. Only that thing that I always demand. I have given that kind of freedom to my students. And what I have got the responses, see, when we give such kind of small relaxations, they will be very much attentive. That kind of response I am getting. I know many teachers are doing it. So seed signals. Next one is prompts. Publicly praising. All of us love to have that publicly praising. You heard what Suresh Kumar sir said about me in the beginning. That is public praising. See, my emotion was very happy at that moment. Then think about the child sitting in the classroom and as teacher, we are publicly saying that, oh, your voice is good, your answer is. See the great amount of joy that the child will be getting. So likewise, we should praise, we should give reward for what they are doing. At least give the word very good, that is good or excellent or a big round of applause. That, gives a great energy for the students. Now, coming to the next one, non-verbal intervention. This is negative side. We know that I said there will be some behavior problems in our classroom. Some students will be distracted, some will be mischievous. But see, we cannot just neglect that mischievous student or a distracted student in our classroom, because if that student is sitting there and creating problem, the whole classroom management ambience will be gone. So if you are publicly scolding or assaulting that student, the student will become more mischievous. Maybe for that time he'll be silent, but later on he will show his anger. So it is better that through our eye look, we can give a warning that this is a class. And suppose if our students are distracting, then we can give a command. Please do listen here. This is a very important topic, but don't show our anger to them. Even without that, we can catch the students to outside. The next one is positive group correction. There are different types of correction mechanisms. But to be very open, all of us love to have correction, not in public platform, but privately. That is a true fact. The same with our students. We can have different tips as individual anonymous correction. Suppose we know that a child is not listening to the class, he or she is creating some nuisance. Please don't him at that moment. After the class, either during the break or at any time, just call that child and ask what has happened to you. You feel distracted. Is there any problem? Likewise, if you correct it and give them and help them come out with their problem, automatically correction will happen. But group correction, we can make. Suppose the whole class is disturbed, we can even scold them and make that correction. That is quite acceptable, group correction. But individual correction, we have to be very careful. And one thing, don't make any physical references while making corrections. I have heard that kind of comments some teachers making. See, you are of that much height, your body is stout, then why can't you study? See, no, we should never we should never use such abusive words in our classroom. That may affect the child's personality. Every child is a valued child in our classroom. God has given us 40 to 50 students as his sons or his daughters in our hands. So they are God-given children. Keep that in mind and teach. Now, in the classroom, you are the representative of God before them. In Malayalam, there is a saying, Mada, Pida, Guru, Devam. That means mother, father, teacher, God. So see the position of the teacher. The last one is do it again. Do it again is again a positive group correction. Suppose we want the entire group to do some task because they have gone wrong and you want to make them do it immediately. You give that comment. So I have listed certain things: entry routine, do now, tie transitions, seat signals, props, that is publicly praising, non-verbal intervention, positive group correction, and last, do it again. Now, what are the techniques for effective classroom management? See, when I was learning this, a great joy, that was sailing, I would say, sailing in my mind. Why? Because I also want to get corrected. Because when I learned this, my flaws, where are my negative side, that I also need to correct. I was just thinking whether my face was pleasant all the time when I taught my students. Because sometimes after my class, some students used to ask me, ma'am, what happened to you? You look so gloomy. Is there any problem? You're sick, not feeling well, likewise. So now I am thinking about it. How about my face? Was it pleasant? Now see, the first one is learnable set of skills. Successful classroom management means we have to establish order, expectations. What we expect from our child. It is not just marks. It is not just marks. Marks are important. But we want our child to become as good personalities to themselves, to their family, and to the society. I mean the global society. Wherever they go, they have to be good persons with good humane values. Nowadays, we are seeing a lot of atrocities in our society. And people who are creating all those atrocities, they are educated folk. We all know. So what was the kind of education they received? it was just vested in the degrees or diplomas or the certificates which they hold. I am also having degrees and diplomas. But above that, am I a good human being? That is the question. How to address transgressions or offense or some violence in the classroom. Next point, are we getting parental support? Do we know the children's parents? The parents have a lot of expectations about their children. I remember a day when I think few years back, when a parent brought their child for the B.Ed first day, handing over the child to the principal, he said, "Sir, I am giving my daughter in this form after the code." Immediately, my former principal said, "You will get her in a much better way." See, this kind of expectation they are giving their children. So how much we ought to have human values. And when we are using the discipline also, the hierarchy, help the students to be self-disciplined. Only rarely use forced discipline because that will not have long impact. Forced discipline will have impact only for a short time. It will be shortly. But if it is self-discipline, it will continue till our last breath. Second one, establish a positive relation with the class. One of my friend teacher, she made a comment. "Dear Nimi, I have business only from 10 to 4. Did you understand the statement? So after 10, means morning 10 till 4, we are in the college. That is the usual practice. But after that, are we not committed to our students? Are we not committed to the profession? So what kind of attitude we are bearing? We should have positive relationship. Even if our child fails in the class, we should have that capacity, that feeling that this girl or this boy will win one day. There is no one bad in our class. Only thing is that we haven't seen that goodness right now, but it is there. That good talent, that good emotion is there. We have to nourish it through our teaching. Then expect that some students rarely will test you by misbehaving because they want to see whether teachers will get irritated. And don't fall as their prey. Because as a teacher, keep in mind that I'm a quality teacher. I'm a qualified teacher, that is true, but I'm a teacher with quality. I used to, when I share with my friends, colleagues, and all, I would just give the words like this. In on-site class and offline, or in online and offline also, a teacher is a teacher. While we are using the WhatsApp or this gadget, we should be very careful. We are teachers. When we WhatsApp or using the emoji or whatever it may be, whatever kind of images we are sending, keep in mind that we are teachers and our mission is to become ideal teachers, not just ordinary effective teachers, but ideal teachers. Even if we die, we should be reminded, we should be in the mind of our students as an ideal teacher. Next, praise is a powerful tool. I have said about it, but it has it is a powerful emotion which can lift up the whole class, entire class. Because when you praise, you touch the heart of that child. Am I right? You touch the heart of that person. We are not just touching the periphery, we are touching the deep core. That is, you are a good person. That is the kind of feeling that we are. All of us, even I, everybody love to have praise. That we have to use it limitlessly. I said, if there are some flaws in our students, we have to be corrective force, we have to correct them, but praise, that should be limitless. Then welcome feedback from your students, from our students. See, we should get feedback. That helps us to have evaluation. That helps us to correct ourselves and grow to that ideal status. So feedback is a must, either through survey or written or through verbal. If they are giving some negative feedback, don't be upset. Think why they made it. If I have to be corrected, I should. And I am the only person who should make that decision that I should correct. No one else can do it for me. If I have gone wrong, I should correct. Now create a safe learning environment. See, the definition of school, of course, we are dealing in a higher education platform, but I would love to give that definition. School, it is a place of joy. Let me ask you a question. Are our schools places of joy? If our schools are places of joy, at 3:30 or 4:30, when the gates of the school are open, you see students rushing out. If that was a place of great joy, they would have remained there for some more time. That is my personal notion. Then learning is a pleasurable job, not pressurable. Did we make any mistakes, that is, it became pressurable? Because when students are under pressure, they will be so scared in the classroom, and the classroom culture will be tough. So we have to create a classroom culture where students are respected. They are revered within their friends. No, please don't encourage any kind of mocking, using abusive words in the classroom between the students. If that comes into your notice, correct it immediately, because normally that may happen in classroom. Okay, then most important, that's what I have given, teachers should never tolerate mocking, cruelty, impatient, or disrespect. We have to respect our children, and the children should respect among themselves. That is a must, and that should be the classroom culture. Then variety is the key to engaging students. What all mechanisms? This is purely teaching learning. Variety. Lecture. Make the students write something. They are good in writing. They love writing. Then fishbowl discussions. That is, you make the students sit in two rows, one inner, one outer. They love to do so. Then partner discussions that I have said, in one bench if they are sitting on two chairs. See, there should not be any gender discrimination. We are living in a society where three genders are there. So help them to have positive gender relations. Then variety adds pep and energy to the classroom. Make the students at least once in a while to move around the classroom. Let them occupy some position which is comfortable. Give them that minimum freedom in a classroom. Establish that the expectation that everyone must participate in class every day. That is what I said. Every child is valued in this class. Speaking, it is a critical life skill, and it improves only with practice. We all are good speakers, but we fail to listen. The same thing happens in our classroom. All the time we will be speaking. We seldom give our chance for our kids to respond or speak, but give them chance. At least set 1 hour apart to have only discussion. Let them open their mind. Let them speak. Let them pour out their energy. Give them that kind of freedom. I know it is difficult with this framework of and all, but do it at least once in an academic year. I'm asking only once. That will bring out great results, because that remains in their memory forever. Forward and not backward. All the time, internal assessment has become internal assassination. You are making the stand in attention with this assessment practices. Assessment is a must. But I have given something very special which I have found in a school. Green, yellow. In a classroom, the students are categorized by teachers in 3 zones. Green, yellow, red. As the color indicates, green is excellent. Yellow is somewhat average. Red is poor performance. And the students are sitting with such a kind of branding in their classroom. What an unhealthy practice, unpsychological practice some schools are advocating. If you're having such a practice and you're teaching the content to the maximum, it won't have good results. Of course, see, those who are categorizing their students in these categories, they have their own arguments for it. That is for the student betterment. That is, I would say, if you want to have that category, keep it confidential. Don't let students know about it. Because personally, one small kid of standard 7 told me one day, Auntie, I am in yellow branding. And how much I'm performing. If I perform after each exam, if I perform better, but still my teachers have only minimum expectation about me because they have branded me in yellow zone. And always they say your performance will be only up to this mark. I can never come to this green zone. And those sitting in the green zone are happily sitting, they will be good performers forever because already they are in good branding. So never do such kind of branding in the classroom. Now, thinking from the parental, I specified about parental support. Parents have two expectations. First, are you a professional? Am I a professional? The first day after the child returns to home, whether it is a school education or higher education, the parents ask a question. How was the first day? How about the teacher? My nephew, who is in United Arab Emirates, during my vacation, I moved to Dubai to be my brother and his family. And when I was there for one holidaying with them, he I think it was in standard 10, the elder boy. It was his first day in standard 10. And after his school, when he came back, I asked him, how was the day? Then he said, Auntie, today one new ma'am came to our class and she introduced the way like this. I am the Hitler of this class. And I am the only Hitler of this class. So see, the teacher herself has given her name as Hitler. So how about that class management or ambience? But the younger child, I mean my nephew, the small one, I asked him, what about your class? No, Auntie, it was not like that. A new ma'am came to my class. She said, my name is, from this day onwards, we will start learning together. This is the kind of, reply or teaching learning that you get from an effective teacher. So, audible, some message is coming from that side. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Wonderful session, ma'am.
Okay. Because some annotation request like that is requesting to annotate the shared content.
Ma'am, no need to give permission for that. You continue, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
So that is, are you a professional? So the parents are eagerly waiting to know whether my child has got a good teacher in the classroom. Do you care about my child? It is not just covering the syllabus or teaching the content. Does the teacher love my child? Are we doing it? Are we showing some kind of sympathy or empathy to our children if they are in demand for it? That is what do we care for about my child. There is something wrong. Okay, it's good. Now, to parents. It is not always easy, but nowadays with the gadget, it has become easy. Because if the student is finding some difficulty in the classroom, or the student is absent for a quite number of days, when you make a call to the parents, don't just panic initially. Give some positive comments about their children. first. Then only you share the problem of what the child is facing. Otherwise, some parents immediately they will break up. See, in Kerala, one happened a couple of years back, which has come to my mind. See, a girl was attending standard 10 model exam. It came in the newspaper. I was doing my 10 on those days in another school at Trivandrum, the state capital. And this girl was studying in another prestigious school. And she got some low marks for her model exam. You know what happened? The school authorities called the parents. And they scolded the mother like anything. They said, the mother, why you are having such a bad child? You know what happened? The mother went home. She immediately hanged herself. Suicide. There was lot of mess. There was lot of, arguments after this, and the school lost its recognition. And those students who were appearing for standard 10 board exam were placed in different schools in Trivandrum. And later on, this girl, she got some 550 marks out of 600 for SLC, such a great marks. And she narrated the whole story in a female magazine known as Vanita, which I read it. And she said that, see, if the teachers had shown some love, this would not have happened. See, so as teachers, we have a greater responsibility of how we are using our words. Whether it is to break or whether it is to make, that is yet another question. And give positive comments about their children, means our students to them. Then only make small corrections. And that should not break them also. It should help them to mold. To psychological well-being or mental well-being, connect with other students. How can we connect with other students? Who are these other students? See, suppose a student is facing a problem in our class. The student may not directly with the teacher, but his or her friends may be knowing about it. We can get the information from those students, and we can do some remedial measures. This is how we can get connected with the entire classroom. There may be some students in our classroom who are good counselors also, who show or who perform excellent maturity above their age. So they can, they can act like an elder sister to their peer members, and they can be a bridge with the teacher also, giving feedback about the classroom, whether it is a constructive or a destructive one that is happening in the classroom. Second one is physically active. Intellectually, anyway, when we teach, we are intellectually active. That is our, our thinking is there, our impression that we give, but physically also be available for our students. We always say that 24/7, we are ready for the students. But strictly speaking, are we available for the students? I don't claim to be 24/7, at least some devote for the students after the regular teaching. If they are making a phone call or WhatsApping it, what they have given the WhatsApp. If they want to share something, give them some time. Don't go for 24/7. Learn new skills as teachers, updating the knowledge. If we are not updating our knowledge, we will be outdated. That is a true fact. Every day, because it's a highly competitive world. See, God has given us a space where we can have our foot. We should not be a stumbling block for others. We should not trespass some other and go. But in our space, learn something new, share it. Sharing of knowledge and collective growth. That should be our motto. Share the new knowledge with our fellow teachers. Don't have any kind of negativism with them. Give knowledge freely, because God has opened our intellect. We should not make it closed. Give it so that let them spread that light. Teachers are lamps in the teaching mission. We know the peculiarity of a lamp. it gives light, it gives glow. Just like a glowworm giving light in darkness, become a glowworm. We have to remove the darkness. That is what give to others. Pay attention to the present moment. Mindfulness. I said our stress, our worries, our failures in life, that will be there. But don't take that to our students, spoil their life also. At this moment, be happy what God has given. For the last 1 year, we are with COVID-19, but we are here. At least we have life this day. So be happy, be blessed in this day. Then developing human values. See, right from slide 1, what I'm focusing is through our classroom, through our content, we develop human values. It is the students that make a classroom. Think, visualize an image. You are going to the classroom where there are no students. It is first hour class for me. I'm going to the class, but there are no students. Does it create happiness to me? No. So the role of teachers in a classroom is to organize students so that they can work effectively. See the students as human assets. They are unique investment in the present and in the future. This is the starting statement that is given in the new education policy 1986. Education is a unique investment in the present and the future. That means our children are assets in our classroom. The teacher has to strategically manage the classroom so as to promote human relations. Ultimately, we are humans, and that results in the inculcation of individual and social values. As teachers, our students will be modeling our values. What values we uphold, what we give, what kind of fragrance we are giving to the society. Thus, building in human values is a dedicated task. We ought to make corrections to ourselves. Unless we make corrections to ourselves, we may not be in a position to correct others. Ways to promote values. We work together, sharing of knowledge, collective growth. Commitment building. Are we committed to ourselves? If we are committed, we will have dedication, we will be hardworking, we will learn new skills. Commitment, dedication, hard work, appreciation, building capacity, not just individually, but collectively also. So to conclude, say classroom management, I won't say it is an easy task. It should be a fair task for teachers who see this as, a poor job. The students, what happens is lack of effective classroom management means their learning part is reduced or shrinked. You are spoiling the children. And for the teacher also, it can create unhappiness and stress. And eventually what will happen? After some years of teaching, you lose the enthusiasm of teaching. So all depends on how we manage or how we divide the task in the classroom, how we imbibe values, how we inculcate values, how we grow in ourselves with values, how we give to others. So from classroom management, our mental state, make it stable, moving to human values, seeing our students as human assets. Every child is a value. See, I'm teaching for 20 years. Every day I enjoy teaching. By the grace of God, I'm enjoying this profession. So I can give some values to my students. I know that all who have come to this platform also is seeing this profession with utmost dedication. That's why you have spared your valuable time. You might have been tired after the day's work. You love to have a sleep at this time or to relax, enjoy music, but you have come here because of your dedication to learn something. So to conclude, I would say that we teachers should grow in values, be fragrant in values. Give that values to our children. Give that knowledge into that our students can imbibe wisdom out of it. Thank you.
Wow, super, ma'am. Dr. Subhasri, ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Subha, ma'am. Dr. Subhasri.
If
Dr.
you have
Chandra,
any questions or if you want to share something, I'm open to all.
I'm here. I'm here,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, Dr. Chandra, I think you can take over the Q&A.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. First of all, my best compliments to your crystal clear and confident presentation in your mesmerizing tone. Thank you very much for that. And I feel that your students are very blessed to have you in their lives as a teacher. By the way you talk and by the way we listen to you, we feel you're a wonderful person as well. I'm really overwhelmed this moment. Thank you so much for being here this evening. And now it's time for question and answers. I request the participants to unmute your mics and ask your questions to the resource person, or you can put your questions in the chat box. We can discuss. Thank you. This is Chandra here. To begin with, I have one question. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, a little bit louder, please, little bit more.
Am I audible now, ma'am?
Yes, very clear, please.
Ma'am, you have beautifully explained how a teacher should treat a student with so much of values, to make them an asset for the future.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, and I'm curious to know, what are the challenges that has been faced by the teachers in this 1 year of online learning, and what could be your tip to handle that as well, ma'am?
Yeah, I got it. See, the first thing is that what I faced as a teacher, the greatest challenge after this lockdown, when the classes resumed, many children said they will continue in the online class. They have their own excuses. One thing, ma'am, it is the climate is it is getting hot. Then please put on audio lessons. Then the transportation, we will have to pay very high fees. We are making the comments. But one thing, let me very openly make the statement that online teaching is good, and during the lockdown, it was a blessing. In fact, there was no other option. But teachers should not be substituted from the classroom. The face-to-face interaction that we give, that is very important. So in online, we are facing them through the gadgets. That is the greatest challenge, in fact. Because even if we are making some corrections, we are not sure whether it is reaching the student. And whether the student is giving some feedback, we are not sure whether it is true. Because when we are meeting them physically, they share everything openly, But through this online platform, they have limitations. Even in WhatsApp, they fear. They'll give only minimum details, whether they fear this or that, or they have issue in learning something, issue in writing assignment. But if we are meeting them personally, even their physical illness, they will share, ma'am, I'm having some stomach problem, or ma'am, I'm having some problem at home. That is why I couldn't complete it. See, this kind of opportunity, we are not fully getting through this online platform. And moreover, we teachers, I said in a classroom, we are facing human cameras. See all the eyes, glittering eyes sitting and looking at us to, copy the knowledge or wisdom. But in a gadget or through online teaching, I feel the role of a teacher is minimized. Even though we speak about audio lesson, video lesson, all the PowerPoint and all, it is minimum. Think that if I am coming to your college right now and teaching you in a physical environment, what impact it will have. You got it what I said? So these kind of challenges are there, but still there is no other option. At least this I said, that's why I said this is I can meet this much of aspirants through this platform.
very much, ma'am. Thank you for your patient answering.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, dear participant, would you like to ask any questions related to the presentation? You're welcome. And we can see a lot of positive feedback for your session, ma'am, in the chat
Yes, sir.
box.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
please do
excellent.
read the comments in the chat box,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Please
Yes,
read.
yes,
Completely
Read.
deserve it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is in fact the prize which I get from the participants. Now, how about your institutions and all? Share something with me.
Ma'am, I am Muthu. I have a suggestion.
Yes,
I have one question.
yes,
Somewhere till 1970, end of 1970, the school and college educations were very limited in our country.
yes, yes,
So what happened is suddenly there was a realization that we should open a large number of colleges and schools, especially engineering institutions. These all were opened suddenly in 80s. Somewhere mid 80s only they opened up it's like a floodgate. So the education system itself has become more mechanical, more business oriented. Like whatever you have shared today in your presentation is really wonderful. Like if we adopt these kind of things, the children will look forward to go to the school. They'll enjoy the school environment, etc. But as of now, this did not, like no somewhere from 80s onwards, mid 80s onwards, this got spoiled. So how
yes,
long do you think it will take to to bring in a kind of environment the way you presented in your presentation?
See, before I answer to that last part, the first part of it, see, in earlier 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, what was the peculiarity is that education was seen as a service. But in the dawn of 1990s, after globalization, education became a costly business. And we all became the part of this business because we believe, and to some extent it is true, formal education is a must for development, personality development, societal status and all. But informal learning is inevitable for life living. That is greatly needed also. But see, we inculcate this. That is the responsibility that God has, put in each one of us. Once we make that humble start to inculcate this value in our students, as you have said, life is getting mechanical. Every day it will be mechanical, more and more mechanical, because that is not a thing that has happened to India or Tamil Nadu or Kerala. Globally, see, just imagine a crowd. If there are 10 to 20 people sitting in a hall, before this gadget became so popular, what we could see is that people used to chat with each other. Whether it was a stranger or not, they would somehow chat. But after this gadget came, 20 people sitting in a room, 20 will be operating this. No one will be interested. At least I don't say that we have to engage into conversation with our neighbor, at least to have a look at our neighbor who is sitting. So that kind of mechanical life will grow only. But in the midst of that, we teachers, we are in the mother profession. Teaching is a mother profession. We are creating all other professions. It is the child, other professions like doctors, engineers, lawyers, politicians, all are the children of this profession. This is the mother profession. So in our classroom, anyway, we are getting our children for 1 year or 6 months, whatever it may. In that time frame, through our teaching, we can inculcate this human values. That kind of seed, what we put inside them, that will start growing. The seed of value inculcation. That we have to deliberately make. There is no shortcut mechanism. No government can help or no institution can help. It is what we teachers, each one of us, including me, have to do it. Not just completing the content or syllabus, but inculcating that human values.
So thank you, ma'am. Very nice, inspiring answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, regarding this open-ended question which you are mentioning in the part of the as a part of the presentation,
Yes.
I have a suggestion. Like
Yes,
what has
yes.
been like when we give an open-ended question to the class, the
Yeah.
whole class will make noise.
You fear that there will be mass answering.
So
Right.
what one technique was taught to us, taught to me is that you have to pose an open-ended question. Like the question should be to the whole class.
Yeah.
Pause for a while.
Yeah.
By the time the students form up their frame the answer and about to answer, you should point to an individual student.
Okay. Make
That means whole class is thinking
student
and
answer.
one student is asked to answer.
Okay. 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 That
So
is
this
good.
technique I found working very well in the classroom.
Okay. That's good. That is good. That's good. They will have the time for interaction also, but at the same time, while they are answering, they won't be mess. Okay.
Like the individual will be asked.
Yeah. Answering. Yes. Any other questions or dear participants, if you want to add something, I would love to hear from you all.
Ma'am, there is one question in the chat box, ma'am. I'll read it for you.
Okay.
By Anita, ma'am. How do you handle the lesson plans? Has it been a challenge and the corrections?
Can you please repeat it?
How do you handle with the lesson plans? Has it been a challenge and what corrections can be done?
Has it been a challenge? See, lesson plans, in fact, are formats for teaching, right? But the main cream of it is the content in it. The plan, it is actually a frame. And if there are some challenges in the teaching side, first thing that a teacher should do is, teacher should have some brain work that what all I have to do with respect with this lesson. What all questions or what all issues will be there. How to overcome with it. That is the kind of brain work a teacher should do. After doing it, when she is really meeting in a real environment, there also some challenges may come in. That how about the response from the student's side? Then we have to reply for it. But whatever reply we give to the child, make sure that it is in a workable condition, a workable manner. This is how normally we deal with challenges. Challenges will be the different kinds of challenges. Sometimes it is not just, finding learning difficult. There may be some other problems students are facing when they are coming to the classroom. Sometimes some students complain that what the teacher is teaching, they are not following. That will be a great challenge. So in that cases, the teacher have to, have an introspection. How can I correct my teaching? Is there any problem with my teaching? What kind of correction mechanisms I have to adopt likewise? And for better teaching learning, I would suggest that make stations. This is an international concept. Classrooms as workstations. What we do is, what learning we have to give, we just give a briefing about it and let the students sit in groups and learn, and teacher move around, circulate among the crowd, give suggestions or facilitate learning, then let the students pour out their answers, then make corrections. So in that cases and all the challenges, we can somehow, you can correct it. Any other questions?
Yeah, ma'am, there is a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
Explain the fish bowl method, ma'am.
Yes. Very good question. See, fishbowl method is, if I could have demonstrated it, you make two rows students, circle, think about two bangles, one big bangle, one small bangle inside the big bangle. So it is like two circles. Got it what I said?
Clear. One inside the other.
Yes, you got it.
Ma'am.
One big bangle, one small bangle. And that circle, I just gave the example of bangle to make it clear. That circle means you put the chairs and the students are seated there. Put the chairs. So inner circle, the students are in their chair. Outer circle, the students are in the chair. And the supervisor or facilitator or learning or the teacher, you put some questions or some points for discussion. Suppose in India, land of spirituality, it is a discussion topic. What in fishbowl technique they do is, the student who is sitting in the inner circle in a respective chair will discuss with the student of the outer circle just back in that same respective row. Got it what I said?
Yes, ma'am.
This is how the fishbowl technique goes on. And in fact, after another discussion, we can change this row. That means there will be rotation of the students also. One group can be made inner, one group can. So you pose the question to the inner circle, let them discuss with the outer. That is the first one. Second thing is that make the outer people inside and inner people outside. Likewise, a discussion we can initiate. And the teacher or the facilitator finally sum up or give some points in between. That is fishbowl technique.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So in that case, ma'am, the size of the two circles would be the same, because
Yes.
the number of students would be the same in both the circles.
No problem. But they will be sitting in like two circles. That's, see, to make it clear, I said about the bangles, Students will be
Yes,
sitting.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's wonderful hearing you. A lot of insights. Truly an insightful session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Any other question, please?
We do have some more questions.
Yes. I
Ma'am,
love
can
to
you please share a few ways? Can you share a few ways for CPD for teachers?
professional development, continuous
Yes, ma'am.
professional
Yes.
development.
Continuous professional development. Yeah.
One thing, what I have done in this lockdown period is, with respect to online learning, there are a lot of certificate courses with respect to the different universities over the globe. I have done 2 courses with Harvard University. One was with the medical school, that is lessons from Ebola. That was with the medical school. The second one was with the School of Education, Leaders of Learning. See, if you browse, go through the web source, you get lot of new type of courses. That means you don't have to spare 1 year for that. It will be in a flexible mode. It will be a 6-month program, but we can take it is in asynchronous mode. Once we enroll in that, the video, the audio, everything will be posted there, and when time permits, we can learn it. Then we have to appear for the exam. That is one way of professionally updating ourselves or for professional development. That is one technique. Another technique, attending seminars, conferences, and another technique, I would say that become a resource person. If you have flair in that, that is the first step for professional development. I am just, remembering my first theme presentation. I don't say it was an excellent thing, but as years, pass, every day we try to learn something, professional development. Have good relation with your colleagues. Whatever knowledge they get, they will share with you. Again, professional development. So from online, then coming to on-site, all these 2 mechanisms we can use. And while we attend some seminars or conferences in some other institutions, have full dedication for it. Don't just go and sit there for the sake of getting some certificates and come. Try to conceive all the good knowledge or new knowledge from them, just like a neophyte. Get everything. Then after getting every knowledge from that side, try to reproduce it either through your writings or either through some lectures. This is what we can do for our continuous professional development. I said about the courses which you can browse in the site, not just with Harvard University, with almost all universities all over the world. I took it through Harvard because it is a prestigious university. And lessons of Ebola, I thought it would be easy. I am not a natural science or biology student, but Ebola, I thought it would be easy. And I didn't know initially it was under medical education. I just browsed it and joined the course. Later only I came to understand that it is through School of Medical Education. It was a little bit hard, but somehow I managed. I could do it well also. So likewise, initially in professional development, we may face some blocks and difficulties. Then another thing is that talk with veteran teachers, great educationists, get their time, sit with them, and bits of knowledge that they share will be like an ocean of knowledge for us. So in that way also we can have professional development.
Thank you, ma'am. Beautifully answered. We have one last question for the
Yes,
session today,
please.
ma'am. Ma'am, Anita ma'am has asked, in online teaching, complete the syllabus. Has it been difficult? And what about notebook corrections? I think she's asking about your experience, ma'am.
Oh, that is, in fact, the answer is there in the question, because I am teaching general education and I have a class of 50 students. And if I am teaching through Google Meet, what happens is that the real thing I'm just sharing with you all, normally only 44 students will be logging inside the class. They may be with poor net coverage. From my side, sometimes it may be net coverage. So the voice will be breaking from my side, from their side also. That is one factor. Later on, when I started giving them audio and video lessons, what they told me is that, ma'am, this is good because at the end, this will be in our Google Classroom and we can repeatedly listen to it. That was the comment. And I have given my own textbook for them to learn. And when they sit with that text, what they do is they just shared with me. They have that audio lesson, they listen to it, then they learn. But I would say that helped them only 80% of their learning, because physical learning, we cannot substitute it with online learning. That is the first. Then online correction, that was a big headache, because all the 50 students, I mean the junior batch plus senior batch, 50 plus 50, will be loading their assignments through the classroom. So that is really a hectic schedule, because our eyes will be gone, but we have to somehow do it. There is no other option. Then one thing, whenever I do a hard job, what homework or what impression I give to my mind is that, see, you are doing a blessed job. My principle is, do every job, whether I am sweeping the floor or mopping at my house, do it with full dedication. Then that will be perfect. That is my principle. If I think, oh, it is a headache looking all this, it's difficult. One thing is that I am disgracing this profession. One thing is that disgrace to Almighty God for giving me, after placing me in such a good position, I am showing disrespect, because a lot of people are outside without job. If you think in that line, we will naturally show dedication for our job.
Thank you, ma'am. It was wonderful listening to you for a long time on the question and answer session, ma'am. And we are done with all the questions from the participant page, and they're requesting for your contact details, ma'am. Can you please put it in the chat box, ma'am?
Yes, sure, definitely.
Suresh, sir, are you there? Just done with the question and answer, sir.
Yes, please.
Chandra,
Yes,
I'm
please.
here.
Yes, please.
Have you? Ma'am, we have our core team member, Dr. Subhashri. She's working as an assistant professor at Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, ma'am. She's happy to talk a few words and give the vote of thanks on behalf of us. Thank you.
Before that, ma'am, one thing I would love to share. Group of participants in this virtual platform, and I also loved your, because when you elicit some questions, it gives a kind of positive energy for me to share. I don't claim whatever I shared is perfect, but my little thoughts, what I gained over the years, and with what I am blessed, I shared. That's all. It may have flaws from my side. Kindly excuse and forgive me if I have gone wrong. Okay, please continue.
Thank you, Dr. Nimi. That was a wonderful session. I should really thank you for the beautiful flow and also a soothing voice. And I could see the passion as a teacher and conviction for the job in every statement you mentioned. That is really something very, the takeaway. And I think it's a very much valued component for all of us as a teachers who are working here. And that is at the end of the day, if someone comes and say that because of you, teacher, I am here in this profession, that's the nothing can actually equalize that pleasure of being a teacher. So with a lot of humility, I really thank and please accept our gratitude from the Department of Psychology, American College, Madurai, and as well as the collaborative institutions like Madras School, also MS Chalamuthu Trust from Madurai and Red Pond Academy Madurai and all other associates. Thank you so much for your wonderful rendering and as well as the real value of the content. I really hats off to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, I acknowledge because it's a great opportunity given by Dr. Suresh Kumar sir, and I believe I have done some justice. I had a wonderful, I would say, an excellent participants through this webinar. And in fact, I am also nobody is perfect. We are every day. We have to correct and do something good so that after our death, we will remain at least in our students' mind. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that lovely presentation. We'll have a few more sessions with you in coming days. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All.
Thank you.
We'll meet you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.